All right. So this was a fan fiction idea I had kicking around in my head because I haven't really done one of these in a while, and that is a My Adventures with Superman story, which I basically have like a My Adventures with insert DC superhero character here. The last one I did was Green Arrow. Of course, um, I did Batman. Of course, I did Wonder Woman. I also did Flash and ended with Green Lantern. So this is and the New Gods. I also did one with the New Gods. So this is the newest one, My Adventures with Martian Manhunter. So My Adventures with Martian Manhunter. Let's get into it. So the story begins after the events of season 2. So Kara is here on the planet, and essentially what's going on is that Clark and Lois are basically sent by Perry to investigate a new religious group that is occupying Metropolis, and that is the White Light. The White Light is basically a new religious group that has come to Metropolis preaching, peace beyond the stars and things like that. And they're basically like, they're here to take people away and show the sky people. And of course, like, people are like, in some ways, people are like believing it because they just saw an alien invasion not too long ago. So they're kind of like, yeah, aliens are real, and maybe some of them are really nice. So, but Perry, of course, sends Lois and Clark in there because he's like, look, I'm pretty sure this is a cult. Like, I'm pretty sure this is a, cruel and deranged cult. But if I'm wrong, you guys have to report the story otherwise. So, get out there and get out there and get the answers. So Clark and Lois are like investigating, and they're seeing a lot of like, they go into there's a building they've established, and they're like looking around, and among all this, Clark's like looking at the all the stuff, and Lois is like, so anything look alien to you? And he's like, Lois, that's a stereotype. Just because I'm an alien doesn't mean that I'm gonna know what an alien thing looks like. And she's like, oh my gosh, am I racist? And he's like, not intentionally. So they're still looking around, and then they hear like a loud crash and someone going, stop him! And it's this guy wearing a trench coat running out of the building, and Clark uses his super speed to suddenly shoot out in front of him and grab the guy, and the guy's like trying to wrestle him off, and actually like grabs Clark and flings him, and Clark is in a state of like, whoa, no one should be able to do that unless, there's something else going on. So Clark follows out, like shoots out of the room, like he sneaks out and changes into his Superman costume and follows the guy, and eventually follows him down an alleyway, and he's like, just in the Superman pose, he's like, all right, you and I are going to have a talk. What were you doing in that? And as he's trying to talk, the guy's eyes glow red and just hit, like Clark just gets hit with this just mental pain in his skull, and he's just like, oh my god, that hurts, like what are you doing? And the guy's just like, stay out of my way. That was a warning shot. So the guy leaves again, and Superman like has to recompose himself and returns as Clark, and goes to Lois, who's like talking to the cult members, and they're like, she's asking like, who is that guy? And one of the cult members go, that man was Detective John Jones. He's been hounding us since we came to Metropolis. He's actually like, he's been following us and petitioning us for members who don't wish to leave. He claims that like there's members that were kidnapped or forced against their will to join, but all are welcome here, and we are, everyone came here willingly, but Jones keeps Detective Jones keeps getting in our way. He keeps attacking us. He won't let us exist peacefully. So Clark's just like, why does he go after you specifically? And a voice goes, because it's me. He's all like, Jones has always had a problem with me. And that's when the cult's leader steps out, Mal Fa'ak. If you know your DC, you already know who this is. So Mal basically explains that John before John became private investigator, he was a cop, and Mal was his perp that he had managed to arrest when he had tried to create the white light in their home country. Mal basically explained that hey, I changed my ways, but apparently Detective Jones has otherwise. In fact, he's not way out of his jurisdiction. I would advise that you just stay away from him, Mr. Kent. But of course, Clark won't let things rest, and more or less, he heads out the next day as Superman, and he hears a voice in his head go, "So, take it you talk to Malafa'ak." And Clark's also like, "Whoa, hang on, hey, I don't know where you are. Why are you in my head?" And he goes, "Calm down, or you stop talking, and and you listen, or I can just shut your brain down from where I'm standing. And trust me, you're not going to be able to tell me sense where I am, and I'll be able to shut your cousin's brain down, Mr. Kent." He's like, "Okay, how do you know who I am?" He's like, "Telepath, Mr. Kent." So Superman's like, "All right, all right. So you're clearly, Detective Jones. So you're superhuman." And he goes, "I am anything but human. Same with you, Mr. Kent. But I'm willing to talk to you face to face. But mark my words, Kryptonian. You try to step out of line, I will take you down. It's only going to take a thought to shut you off." And he's like, "Fine. Where do you want to meet?" So John gives him directions, and they meet at a burger joint, and he's just like, "You'll have to excuse me, I have grown accustomed to the burgers here. They also have a lovely cookies and cream ice cream. Would you like something?" "No, thanks." So of course he's no longer Superman. He's back in his Clark Kent. He's back as Clark, and Clark talks to Jones, and he's like, "So you said you aren't human?" He goes, "Right. Don't you know what I am, Kryptonian?" And he goes, "I don't even know what I am half the time. My cousin and I are the last Kryptonians. I didn't know about all the stuff with Krypton until later." And he goes, "Oh, I'm a Martian." He goes, "Really? From yes, Mars, Mr. Kent." He's like, "So what are you doing on Earth?" So he basically explains that Malfa'ak is really Malafa'ak, who was a cult. He was indeed a cult leader in his home world, or home country, but rather on Mars. John Jones and Malafa'ak in this continuity. John Jones was a cop on Mars and booked Malafa'ak for his cult-like behavior, for his cult, and also how he'd basically been killing members for his own purposes. Basically, he relishes in worship and pain. But, however, everything changed when the Kryptonians attacked. So the moment Malafa'ak and John Jones, John had managed to capture Malafa'ak, the Kryptonian Empire arrived and just fucking went to war with the Martians. So Malafa'ak escaped, and John joined the war against the Kryptonians. The Martians were actually holding their own against the Kryptonians. In fact, they were holding their own better than most races. That was until a Kryptonian known as Zod implemented a mind virus. It was called the Mind Burn, and it basically caused a disruption of the psychic and physical manifestations of the Martians' bodies. Jean watched his family die, and he was about to just basically off himself when Malafa'ak arrived. And he's just like, "I'm going to fucking get you if I have to die." So the two got into a massive fight, and during which they were both pulled to Earth by the same professor who brought Jean to Earth in the comics. I forget his name. Malafa'ak killed the professor and escaped, and at the same time, he also killed a detective who was nearby named John Jones. So John Jones took over the persona of John Jones and assimilated into his life as a detective. And Clark just goes, "Oh my God, that's awful. Wait, also, your name is John Jones, and you took over the life of a guy named John Jones?" And he goes, "It's not lost on me." But yeah, so, and Clark's just like, "Look, I'm sorry for what the Kryptonians did to you, but if this Malafa'ak guy is as dangerous as you say he is, you and I need to I need your help stopping him, because if he's anything like you, he's gonna I don't know if I could fight him." And Jean is like, "I'll help." Normally I wouldn't work with a Kryptonian, but this calls for it. And I've seen, I reached into your mind and saw, this is why I didn't want to get too combative with you, was because, I saw the good in you, Clark. I saw the good in you and what you want to do. So I'm more than willing to work with you on this. So Jean and Clark, getting their superhero personas, and Martian Manhunter's forming his costume, and he's like, "What do you think?" And he makes the classic Martian Manhunter costume, and Clark's like, "Pretty sweet." So the two of them head out, and the cult is chanting out Malafa'ak's name, and he's just kind of relishing in wallowing in his own crapulence. And that's when Clark and Jean are trying to think of a way of attack, and Jean just goes, "I think I don't think it matters." And he's like, "Why?" "Because I can sense your cousin coming at us." Sure enough, in comes Kara, comes flying in and attacks Clark. So Kara and Clark are immediately Clark realizes that Malafa'ak took over Kara's mind. And Malafa'ak comes phasing through, and he's like, Detective Jones, I was so looking forward for a rematch. And Jean is just like, "It's not going to be a rematch, it's going to be a slaughter." And he's like, "Oh, on that we agree." So Jean and Malafa'ak battle it out. They're shape-shifting. They're mind attacking each other. It's a full-ass fight between the two of them. Meanwhile, Clark is trying to rein in Kara, who is just completely in a berserker rage, and he's just like, "Well, this brings back memories from a few months ago." So as they're battling it out, Jean, Malafa'ak is mocking Jean. He's like, "Where were you when your family fell? When Mars fell to the Kryptonians? Where was all of that? Where were you when it all went away? Hiding like a coward." And he's like, "The only coward here I see, Malafa'ak, is you." So Jean, as they're fighting, Jean just hits him with the biggest mental blast he can of all the pain and suffering Jean has gone through. And Malafa'ak's like, "It's too much, it's too much." And in that moment, it breaks Malafa'ak's control over Kara, and she's like, "Kal-El, what am I doing?" And he goes, "Other than punching me, being mind controlled." So they break out of it, and now with Kara and Clark, Malafa'ak has to fight 3 people at once. He gets his ass beat, and of course now he no longer has the mental control over the other cult members. So they're all broken free and what the hell am I doing here? What is going on? So Malafa'ak gets defeated, and Jean is like, I will put you, I don't care if Mars is gone, I am going to put you away forever." And that's when Malafa'ak's like, "Nah, that's not going to work for me," and just sets himself on fire and dies. So by the end of it, Jean is Clark is like, "Well, he's gone, but all the people he's kidnapped are safe." And he goes, "Yeah." So Clark is like, Metropolis is has been home to a lot of alien activity. What's one more?" And Jean is like, "No, if anything, this reminded me of the protector I was. So maybe meeting you has shown that I can still be a hero to other people, but not here. This is you and your cousin's home. So, but until we meet again, Superman." So they shake hands, and Jean goes off into the world. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my adventures with Martian Manhunter. You guys tell me in the comments below. What did you guys think of it? Comment below. Let me know. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.